Hey, Nerd Herd. Dynasty Nerds back again this week as we go into week 7.
I think so.
Yeah, a lot of injuries this week to talk about. Probably most of the show we'll be breaking down some injuries, kind of get a little off topic in here. And then we're talking about young guys that we think are good rebuild players at the quarterback and tight end position.
You know what my favorite kind of jeans are?
Levi's?
Ready, set, hut, hut. Welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, where we discuss dynasty strategy, rankings, and all things NFL. So get ready to geek out on fantasy football with your host, Rich Dotson.
And welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Rich Dotson. He's Matt O'Hara.
Hey.
We are Dynasty Nerds. No Garrett Price. He's out in the Bahamas getting all tan and sexified. Good for him.
Yes.
With his family. But it doesn't stop us. We're going to still talk Dynasty.
That's right. It just keeps going.
Yeah, we're in week 7.
Oh, my God.
Like, the playoffs aren't too far away.
Hey, we're like halfway there, right?
God,
after this week.
So crazy. Like, how everything just goes so fast. We'll be talking about this 24 class before we know it and making trades. But, you know, it's a critical part of the season, right? Like week 7 in Dynasty Fantasy Football. Week 8, we talked about a couple weeks ago, these next couple of weeks, how important they are.
The winners are starting to rise to the top here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the potential playoff teams.
From the get-go, you know the teams are rebuilding, but those middle-of-the-road teams is where you really start to see, and even your own path kind of clarifies with, like, guys that go out for the year. When you lose Nick Chubbs and J.K. Dobbins and, you know, if you had a rookie like Anthony Richardson and these players that go out for the year, you go from a championship contender, a lot of times in Dynasty, with no waiver wire, to out, like, no chance to win for the most part. Mm-hmm. And you're kind of just, like, going to be in the middle. And a lot of times you don't have a first-round pick, so you still have to kind of still fight because there's no point of
no point
winning.
no point in sucking.
Yeah, so it's injuries, trades. This is the time of the year to do it all. This is the best chance to get first-round picks, second-round picks. I made a trade in the league. I gave up a first for Daniel Jones just because this is 2 weeks ago, and I feel really bad about it because now I realize it's going to be a pretty high 24 first.
Oof.
I'm just now realizing it, kicking myself in the butt.
Yeah. And that burns. You're going to have those bad trades here and there. You kind of have to overcome them and make some moves to kind of get back right again eventually. But, you can't hesitate to get back up to the plate, though. Right?
No, 100%. Yeah, bad trades don't – they make me like, I shouldn't have done that. But it's more like – it's more apathetic. You know, it's kind of like, I did another bad trade, but then I'll make a good trade.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll never stop me from trading. We talked about that before a couple of years ago, how, like, some people are hesitant to make trades in Dynasty because they get burned once, and then they're always scared to get burned again, right? Like, that's part of the deal. It's kind of like you said, like, baseball is a great analogy, right? Like, don't be afraid to go out there and swing the bat, where, like, you're going to strike out, but you got to get up to the next plate appearance and swing the bat again.
If you don't swing the bat, you can't hit home runs. You know what I mean? And
100%.
That's how you really make a difference on your team.
And it's the thing, making trades, taking losses. We talk about this show all the time. It's where we differentiate from other shows. Like, we're not afraid to take losses in trades or take risk to put ourselves in a better position to go out there and win chips. Because, you know, when you stay stagnant or if you're not willing to take those risks, it's real easy to just get passed up. And, yeah, you can luck into something by having a really good rookie draft and getting Puka Nacua in the 4th round and getting a really good 3rd-round pick and in a second, you know, have those draft classes that really propel you. But for the most part, it's a lot of work, right?
Yep.
Like, it's
Absolutely.
trades, it's drafts. So we're going to talk about some players today. We're actually going to talk about the rebuilds today, right? Like, some players that we think are good players for rebuilding teams this time of year to go out there as you're selling off assets. Like, what are you selling them for? Because it's easy to sit here and say, oh, draft picks. And we talk about draft picks all the time because in a vacuum, that's the easiest comparison.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way we gauge basically values on these guys because I think everyone, kind of has a good feel of what those are worth.
Yeah. So we'll talk about some upside players today. On this show, we're going to talk about some injuries, of course, and there's a lot of them. And then we're going to talk about the quarterbacks and tight ends, a little bit shorter of a segment there. And then on the Nerd Herd show, we're going to talk about the running backs and wide receivers. And we're talking about, like, these are upside players, right? Like, cheaper upside players, which, again, you're taking a swing at the bat. And if we get 33% of these, right, and we're batting 300, let's take us to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, most of the guys that we'll talk about are guys that are going to be throw-ins on other deals, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Where if you're in a rebuild, you want a draft pick and one of these players, something like that. You know, as a throw-in, as a cherry on top type of guy. That's how I approach this. Anyway,
it's the best way to get it's the best way when you always want a little something on top. Like, this guy's worth a second, but like a little bit more. it starts to get you can't get a first. A third doesn't mean anything. Like rather than give me a 4th round pick or something like that, I'd much rather take a chance on the guys we're going to talk about today.
Sure. Yep.
So in the Nerd Herd show, we're going to dive a little bit more deeper into running backs and wide receivers. If you want to join the Nerd Herd, you can just go to dynastynerds.com. You can go to dynastynerds.com. Don't go through your app store. It's cheaper on the website.
True.
Actually. But we also have a great promo going on where you can join the Nerd Herd for absolutely as low as $10. Woo. How do you join the Nerd Herd for $10? All you got to do is go to our friends at Underdog Fantasy. And right now they have a real new great sign-up offer. You get your Mystery Pick'em special. And for a limited time right now for the Nerd Herd, up to a $500 deposit match.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, not $100,
No.
$500.
$500.
So if you put $500 in, and yes, that's a lot, they're going to give you $1,000. And guess what? You kind of like just slowly play with that or bring some of that back and then play with some free whatever you got to do. But all you got to do is sign up at Underdog. You have to use the promo code NERDS. This is for first-time depositors, right? Like, so first-time depositors on Underdog, they're going to give it to $500 free at UnderdogFantasy.com or via your app store. You're going to get a free pick'em special. So they're going to give you a free pick'em. They're going to match your deposit up to $500. And then on top of that, the Dynasty Nerds, they're going to hook you up with a free year subscription to the Nerd Herd. All you got to do is deposit $10, put in the promo code NERDS. You're going to get a year subscription to the Nerd Herd, the film room. And again, the film room. Like,
true.
We just did another big update.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've already started dumping in the new film, man.
100 new prospect film in there. All of them, all 22 tape.
Yes.
All of them. Not one single broadcast has been put in there. It's all 22 film. That's what we use at Dynasty Nerds. So it's going to give you the best view in the film room. Every prospect coming out this year, it's already loaded up. The guys are doing a great job way ahead of it. All of that for free. Oh, not for free. You just deposit $10 in your Underdog account. So check that out. If you're already a Nerd Herd member and you do it, we will send you a free shirt as well. So, Matt, you ready to talk about some injuries?
Yeah, man, let's do it. So first up, I wanted to get some kind of house cleaning kind of injury update here with Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously the shoulder injury not this past week, but the week before that. Jim Irsay kind of came out and basically said that they're kind of it's expected that he's going to miss the season, right?
Get the surgery.
He's going to end up getting the surgery.
Sucks because he's having such a promising fantasy career start.
Right. No, I mean, it sounds like this is probably what's going to be best for him long term. So as far as him getting it all fixed up and all good for next year, this sounds like it's going to be a-okay for that. It does suck that this year obviously he's going to get cut short, and it's going to, I think, affect his value slightly, right? I mean, we were talking about it every single week he was playing, he was kind of getting dinged up, and then this happened, and every week I was giving the update and kind of asking if you guys were getting nervous, and I mean, by the end of it, we were. I think unanimously we were all kind of
rightfully
a little bit nervous.
so.
Yeah, so
it's a buy window.
It is.
I had somebody approach me. We're in a league where I'm a contender. And I don't know if you recall, we were actually coming back from our Dynasty Nerds trip in New York. I was doing a startup for the Nerd Herd 4.0. Mm-hmm. I had the first pick. I got Pat Mahomes. And coming back, we were driving back. I had a second pick, and I was like, oh, who's there? And I took Anthony Richardson.
Right.
Felt really happy about it. And my team's somewhat of a contender in that league. And the person wrote me, hey, what would it take for Anthony Richardson? Would you give me Deshaun Watson? If I gave you Deshaun Watson, would you give me Anthony Richardson? I was like, I'd kind of want a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know, it's a 22-year quarterback who looked really good when he's in there. And I asked for Elijah Moore. I think I asked for Elijah Moore and Luke Musgrave, and I gave him Cortland Sutton, Anthony Richardson, and this guy's complete
rebuild,
yeah. Like, you know, or aiming to get that top pick.
Sure.
He's going to think about it, but this goes to show you it does open a window. Like, would I rather have Anthony Richardson or Deshaun Watson? Like, I'd rather have Anthony Richardson easily.
But if you're a contender, it might open that window for you to have to sell.
And I'd rather win. I have Pat Mahomes, so it makes it a little bit easier. But, like, I want to win this year. So, like, do I want to give up my only share of Anthony Richardson? No, I don't. But I also want to win.
Yeah, and if you have a real shot at winning, it's a move you might need to make, or at least consider making.
And that's it. And in Dynasty, you can't. My thought process, and like a player like Anthony Richardson or anybody else, like even Justin Jefferson being out for potentially up to 6 weeks to the whole year, it's, you know, whenever that window shows up, we tell you it's about seizing that window. And sometimes you have to do things that you don't want to do, or get rid of a player you might feel is a cornerstone player or a player that's going to have a lot of long-term effect. And that's fine, because in Dynasty, it's great to have those players for long terms, but nothing stops you from winning a championship. It's not talking about taking a major loss, but lateral moves and fair moves, sometimes you have to give up. Too many people in Dynasty trades, And I'm a victim of this, and everybody is, because everybody wants to win the trade. You send offers on like you want to win that trade. You want to win that trade, and you want to give up this for that, but you know you're getting the better of that. Like, you have to be okay with giving up players like Anthony Richardson or even like a Justin Jefferson. You have to be okay with giving those players if you have a legit chance to win a championship.
If you have a legitimate one. Yeah. I mean, and you're talking about moves like Justin Jefferson for AJ Brown, like those type of moves. I mean, if you're moving to Justin Jefferson, it's for another high-end player and then a little something on top.
A CeeDee Lamb.
Yep.
Yeah, like, hey, dude, I saw Justin Jefferson's out for 6 weeks, man. I'll give you AJ Brown, or here I'll give you CeeDee Lamb, and I want 2 seconds, or I want this, and I want Luke Musgrave. You know, like, man, I'm giving up a little bit more, but you're getting a good. You're not. It's not like you're not getting something good back as well. So with Anthony Richardson going out for the year, I mean, for the most part, does it hurt a lot of teams? No. Because you had a pretty high pick in the first place.
Absolutely, you did. Yep.
But if you did a startup or you lucked in that pick or trade for that player, it could. So a couple more quarterbacks are hurt. We have
Yeah, no, there's a pretty long list here. So next one up, next one up is Justin Fields. He dislocated his thumb. It sounded like he's doubtful for week 7, and it's going to basically come down to the grip strength. I've seen a lot of kind of different injury gurus saying different things. Like, if there was a dislocation, there's only way that it's going to get repaired is surgery. But I've heard other things where it's like, it can heal over time. So we'll see exactly how that one flushes out. But we're not going to see Justin Fields. I wouldn't expect to see him this week at all. So it sounds like a short-term thing.
What's weird about Justin Fields is, because he's showing signs of improvement too. It's like, God, he's not going to probably be the quarterback of the Chicago Bears after this year.
What's their record? It
doesn't matter because they have Carolina's pick.
Oh yeah, and they're 0-6.
And they're 0-6.
Yeah.
Right now, if the NFL draft was today, the Chicago Bears would have the first and second pick in the draft.
Yeah.
They have the second pick, and the Panthers had the first. So, I mean, again, with Caleb Williams, it doesn't seem like, as a dynasty asset, like, you're real excited to have Justin Fields. Like, do you think the buy-in window gets cheaper on Justin Fields, like, in 2 more weeks? So he's not going to play for a couple weeks.
Right.
And the closer they get to solidifying that first overall pick, like,
am I buying?
Let me put this scenario for you in Dynasty Fantasy Football, right? It is currently going to week 7. It is week 10 or 11. So you have a trade deadline in your Dynasty League. And you're going into week 11, which we're just, 3 weeks away from the playoffs, essentially.
Yep.
And
where am I at? Am I 8-3 here? Or 8-2?
Superflex tight end premium doesn't matter where you're at. I think for a player like this, it doesn't matter where you're at. He's a young, up-and-coming quarterback that a lot of people were real excited about at the end of last year and excited for a week ago after a big game.
Yep.
Carolina still hasn't won a game at this point. It is week 11. They are 0-6 or 0-11 or 0-10 if they had their bye week.
Sure.
And it looks like the Bears are guaranteed to get the number 1 pick. And we could all probably agree, whoever has the number 1 pick is taking Caleb Williams. They're not trading that pick.
I mean, I don't know. Did you watch this past weekend's game against Notre Dame? It
was pretty bad. But I'm not going to let one. I did watch the game. I told my son, like, this kid is special.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching.
Let's sit down and watch him.
And he's like, what's so special about this guy?
Stinks.
Yeah, can beat Notre Dame. Are you trading for Justin Fields? Do you feel like that window, I'm sure we'll readdress it come week 11, but, like, would you use that window as a buy? Because I feel like there'd be a discount.
I think there's a discount. And
I think it goes to the Falcons.
Whether or not, that would be nice, actually.
So nice. Arthur Smith doesn't know how to use them.
Yeah, I know. That's another problem. Like, Arthur Smith has his little play action run first offense.
They drafted one of the greatest running backs I've seen in my entire life, and they're putting Tyler Algier in there. I don't understand.
They're starting to get Pitts involved.
Thanks. Can't wait to see Bijan in 3 years.
I finally cracked the code. I got to throw it to Pitts.
2 games in a row.
Woo. Where was I at?
Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Because now with this window, like, the Bears are going to lose some more. Like, he's not going to play for a couple weeks.
Yeah. No, I almost prefer Fields to leave at this point. You know what I mean? Like, I don't necessarily think that Atlanta would be a great spot, but somebody more creative, somebody that's willing to has a more malleable thought on offense.
I got the spot for him. Nobody's talked about this spot.
Okay.
It won't happen.
Sure.
Dude.
Pie in the sky stuff.
Rams with Sean McVay.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Dude, that'd be a good spot for him. Kyle Shanahan at San Fran.
I mean,
that's not going to happen either, but wow.
I don't know. I think his major weakness might not be necessarily something that would work in Kyle Shanahan's offense, but I don't know what kind of offense would highlight Fields, but whatever they're doing now. Well, actually, whatever they were doing early in the season didn't work. They seem to be kind of letting him come into his own a little bit the last couple of weeks, and unfortunately, this thumb dislocation is kind of derailing him. Listen, if it opens up something and I get a crazy deal on Fields, yes, I think he's young. He's proven that from a fantasy perspective, he can get the job done. So yeah, I would go ahead and make a move if the price is right.
So kind of put the feelers out like week 11 as he starts to miss a couple games here, first and second for Justin Fields and Superflex to see if it gets it done.
If I could get him for first and second in Superflex, I would do that. Yeah.
Okay.
2 seconds, I mean 2 firsts, I would start feeling a little bit
hesitant without knowing where he's going.
Yeah.
And that's the mystery because then if he goes somewhere, like say he went to Atlanta, right? And he has those weapons around him. You'd be like, oh wow, that's 2 firsts easily.
I think those are great weapons. And we already went over the bad part with Arthur Smith.
And it don't.
Yeah, so who knows? So the next one up here, Trevor Lawrence, knee sprain.
He'll probably play Thursday.
Yeah, that's the thing. So initially I put this on there because it was a rush to be a Thursday night game. Who knows if the knee sprain, if it was even just mild enough to keep him out of practice a couple days, but he's already practicing, so he'll be out there.
In my gambling league, the lines open at 12:30 Eastern time.
Okay.
In my gambling league, and they had the Jags only -2 because of the Trevor Lawrence suit. They didn't know.
Yeah.
Hammer. And then the Browns were -2 too. Hammer that one too.
Like, how about the Browns this week? We didn't discuss that at all, huh?
Oh,
I thought it was going to be a dismantling. I thought the 49ers were going to completely destroy us.
I took a friend who's a San Francisco fan with me.
Okay.
And on the way down, and I was like, yeah, dude, you guys are going to win this. Like, I was like, but, this could be the game the Browns would win. Like, yeah. I was like, this would be, on the way down, I was like, this would be the game the Browns do win, where everybody's saying we're going to lose, we're going to get absolutely destroyed. And I said the same thing. I was like, I just hope we keep it, like, respectable. Yeah. And it was, what crazy part about that game was, too, is there were so many San Francisco fans there.
Were there?
Tons. On the visitor side, there was. I felt like it could have been all San Francisco. It was insane.
Wow.
For somebody who's been a season ticket holder for 13 years, could have been the most fans, like opposite team fans, I've ever seen. Which is crazy because San Francisco.
Because it's San Francisco. It's not like Pittsburgh coming from one state over or something.
And Jake Moody, the kicker, had his entire family there.
Oh.
His entire family there. But for me, that was really great because those are the games the Browns lose. Like, that's what happens every time as a Browns fan.
Yeah.
It's like
Nails
fourth quarter,
yeah.
We score, we go up, win, but there's less than 2 minutes left, and the team goes down and scores the field goal, and we lose by 1 point every time. Like, that's my life as a football fan. Yeah. Like,
that's all we know.
For somebody who loves football as much as I do, I'm just surrounded in a pit of misery. Like, that's my whole life. Like, misery. Yeah. Like, it's terrible. I don't know. And I'm sitting there too, and I sat down at one point. I told my wife, I'm like, why do I do like? And I'm never like that way watching football. I actually sat down in my seat. And at one point, I was like, why do I do this to myself every week of my life? And she's like, but you love them. I'm like, I know, but it hurts sometimes.
Yeah, love hurts, man.
But it was fun. Yeah, what a win. Yeah. What did I say in the beginning of the year? Why the Browns were going to win?
Defense is ridiculous.
I said in the beginning of the year, the Browns were going to win the Super Bowl because their defense is so good. And I don't care about the offense. Nobody's talking about the defense and how good it's going to be.
It shows we don't even need a friggin' offense, man. It really we got PJ Walker off the practice squad and throws 2 picks and we still win.
You can go really far with a defense like that.
Oh my God.
You could and outside of any other team that had a defense, like I know it's my team, but like that's the kind of defense where you could win a Super Bowl with that defense. If your offense just doesn't turn the ball over and are competent enough. That's why I was so bummed about Nick Chubb going down because you don't need Deshaun Watson to play good if you have Nick Chubb in that defense.
You don't even need Deshaun Watson.
You don't need Deshaun Watson. I can't stand that guy.
What? Yes, dude, yes. I'm so glad you said that. Me and you are boys again.
I mean, the difference is I still love the Browns. Like, I do. I love the Browns. I really can't. Like, he turned the way my interpretation of Deshaun Watson now is like, now that I follow him on social media religiously, because he's my quarterback.
Sure.
So like I follow the Browns players on socials because like I'm obsessed with the Browns. Like I'm not a fan. I'm a true fan, a fanatic. Right.
Yep.
I just feel like for him, like it's just more about like he does too much stuff on social that I see. That's from like I feel like again who am I? Because he had nothing but success before all this stuff. But it's like, dude, just get in there and study film and get better every day and work your receivers. Like I don't need to see you doing all this other stuff, man. Like you haven't shown me anything yet. So as of right now, he's not on my.
You're preaching, man. You're preaching to the choir.
He gets on my nerves. Like I really do. Like I wish, and I know it sounds stupid because he's not good. But I had a good time with Baker. You know what I mean? Like, I just wish we had honestly, I wish we had Jared Goff. You know, like I know it sounds crazy, but like Jared Goff, get in there, don't say much, do your job, get in, get out. You know, Brock Purdy, like
give me Kirk Cousins, bring him in. Just look at the hesitation there.
I don't know. Like I like Jared Goff.
Yeah,
I don't like Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I get it.
Quarterback wise.
So I don't even remember how we got off this. We were on Trevor Lawrence.
I'm always going to take it off the rails.
I know.
It's okay.
Somehow we got on the Browns because I said I asked you a question about the Browns, but I don't even remember how. Trevor Lawrence, knee sprain, probably going to play. But besides that, quarterback 16 on the year. Got anything?
Huge, massive disappointment.
Right. Calvin Ridley started off super hot, right?
And now Kirk Cousins coming back, or Christian Kirk's coming back a little bit better there.
Yeah.
The running game's looking good with Travis Etienne too. Like he's gone up in dynasty ranks a lot. It's weird. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence is, and there was receiving core is, it's just
Zay Jones been out.
He's been out.
Is he that big of? Is Zay Jones that big of a factor? You think in that offense, kind of as just Mr. Reliable?
Maybe it's been weird. I mean, and Trevor Lawrence now is like been kind of like roller coaster-ish for somebody who's supposed to be a generational talent. You know what I mean? Like, it's been somewhat frustrating. I mean, he was my first pick in the Scott Fish Bowl.
Yeah.
Guess who's in last place in my division?
I'm going to guess it's
I took Trevor Lawrence first.
Yeah.
I took Deshaun Watson second.
That's bad.
I got Hockenson third.
Oh, yeah, all right.
Which was good. But it's funny because like in my division, I end up in a division with like it's me, Matt Harmon, Chad Parsons from UTH. So I'm like, oh, look at me in here with some like heavy hitters essentially.
Sure.
I'm in last.
Chad.
Matt Harmon's in 11th, and Chad Parsons is in 10th. Shout out, boys. Mike and Ike division. Yeah, pretty bad. So yeah, for me, I have multiple Trevor Lawrence shares, and it's weird though. At the same time, my one QB leagues I have Trevor Lawrence in. My one league, I'm in first place and undefeated. But no thanks to Trevor.
Right.
Lawrence.
Right. Doing it without, or kind of despite him.
From a super flex, so let's talk about that for a second. From a super flex standpoint, is this a dip on Trevor Lawrence then?
That's what I'm at. That's what I was trying to get at. Is this a dip? I mean, he's ranked 16th. He's having a down year. Where do we see him long term? Because I do think he's very talented, and I think this is kind of just a bad stretch for him personally. I mean, they were in London for a couple of weeks. You know what I mean? Like they're out of the country.
He's quarterback 15. He has been on the country. He will always be going on the country. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of like what package you could like, what player out there that you can offer that feel good about that. Like for Trevor Lawrence, you know what I mean? You can't get up Justin Fields. Nobody's taking Brock Purdy. Nobody's taking Russell Wilson. Look at guys ahead of him. Nobody's taking Kirk Cousins. I mean, there's Lamar Jackson, who's quarterback 7 on the year. Would you rather have Lamar Jackson or Trevor Lawrence in Dynasty Superflex long term? Because you asked me 5 weeks ago, I'm telling you Trevor Lawrence.
Right.
I know. Today I don't know as much.
It was a lot easier question before.
Here, I'll give you an easier one.
Okay.
It's Lamar's tier 2, right? Like
sure.
Tua Tagovailoa.
I'd rather have Tua.
Okay.
And that one wasn't hard.
It wasn't hard for you? No. I thought it would be.
Way better offense.
Okay, so flip it. Would you give up right now Trevor Lawrence to get Tua?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
I mean, is it?
I don't think I would.
Where's Tua? Tua's ranked
quarterback 3.
3, yeah.
I know, but Tyreek Hill's gone after he's going to become a porn star in 2 years.
Is that what he said?
Yeah. So he wants to be a poor. That dude's nuts.
That's weird.
I don't know. It's a weird because again, the quarterback market: Joe Burrow or Trevor Lawrence.
God, man, Burrow without the injuries, I would take. But Burrow seems to be nicked up all the time. You know what I mean?
Okay, last week he was. This week he wasn't hurt. 14.8 points.
Yeah.
Week for that 24.4. Before that he was hurt, so that's fine. He only went over 10 points once.
I think that offense in general is struggling this year. They have a Super Bowl hangover. If I could get Burrow on a discount, I probably would. So between those two guys, probably discounted, both of them discounted. Which one do I want? I'm going to go with the Ohio kid. I'm going to go Burrow.
Yeah, I'd go Burrow too.
Mm-hmm.
If you had C.J. Stroud, would you rather have C.J. Stroud, or would you look at this as a window like, man, these guys might be frustrated. C.J. Stroud's quarterback 13. These guys are lower. Would you offer C.J. Stroud for either of those, or would you just stick with C.J. Stroud if you had him?
No, I would offer C.J. Stroud for either one of those guys.
Me too.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering what kind of window there is out there for those kind of players. So it wouldn't hurt you guys to go out there and like maybe throw some offers. I mean, obviously Joe Burrow doesn't have that because everybody knows he's been hurt. But Trevor Lawrence, there might be a dip there.
There could be. He's just not performing up to expectations. All right, so moving on to
Tannehill.
To the next one. Tannehill out, man. High ankle sprain. This is kind of similar to what he had last year when he had surgery week 15.
Same ankle.
So it's the same ankle and everything. Obviously they're on by this coming week, and they could use that extra time in two ways, right? To either get Tannehill up and running or to get one of these young guys up and running.
Pause. Teaser. My young quarterback buy for rebuilds is Will Levis.
All right.
So can we just go from there?
We'll shelf this one.
Okay.
There's plenty of other injuries to talk about, so definitely. Next one up, Jimmy Garoppolo, a back injury. The reports out of this one are weird, right? So he's going to undergo further tests on his back, and that it's, quote, too early to conclude anything about his status for Sunday's game in Chicago. Josh McDaniels said that he seems to have dodged a big bullet in that regard when talking about internal injuries, and that they're, quote, there's still a lot to uncover.
Yeah,
so this
with the hospital right away. Like
this one seems weird. Yeah, so, and we can pause this one as well and discuss this in a little bit too, because my quarterback buy is also wrapped up in this.
Look at us teasing. Why is this wearing nipple tassels?
Who says I'm not?
Oh!
All right, so
proof.
Next one up, Christian McCaffrey, rib, oblique, whatever.
He'll be fine. They're saying he's probably going to play Monday night.
Right. He's okay. David Montgomery.
Not fine.
Rib, cartilage.
Multiple weeks.
Issue, yeah. So this one sounds like maybe this was a cartilage break from what all the research that I kind of pulled out. Which sounds just painful, and it's a pain management thing. There's nothing really that they can do to alleviate that pain. Like, they can shoot it up with stuff, but it's still going to hurt. And as a running back, that's no bueno, right? Yeah. So this could be a full, few week type of thing. Obviously, if Gibbs can't get back, now we're on to Craig Reynolds and whomever they pick up, because they're going to pick up somebody, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know it would be a great. Depends how. The problem is David's gonna be back in a couple weeks. If not,
playoff Lenny,
Lombardi Lenny would have been a great fit. On this team.
Yeah,
I mean, this team is fantastic.
They are. They're fun to watch.
They are fun to watch. Yeah. They're fantastic.
I don't know if playoff Lenny's attitude. Lombardi.
Oh, he doesn't
Lenny?
like to bite kneecaps.
No, he doesn't like. I don't think he's a kneecap biter. So
I
don't know.
Fork and knife with a napkin over your ears tucked in your front against your collarbone.
So who knows, man? I mean, they're really just they're running through their running backs. They're just all of them are getting injured. They're on the shelf. Craig Reynolds, heck of a block this past weekend. Sprung. Was it Amon Ra? Yeah, for the touchdown.
Ran down, just leveled that guy. It was like playing pinball.
Exactly. That was a nice one, man. So that was fun to watch.
Craig Reynolds, a great waiver wire guy. If he's on your waiver wires, we've talked about Craig multiple times on this show.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think last time I described him he was a guy that I traded for at the end of last season. Then I ended up cutting him because he was so buried on the depth chart. I wish I wouldn't have now.
Yeah.
But who knew that all these guys were going to get injured? I guess I should have known, since we do this show every year. And
he's back, baby.
We talk about all these running back injuries.
But, I mean, he's going to miss a couple weeks. Monitor Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, hopefully come back this week from the hamstrings. But the hamstrings are tricky.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Greg Dulcich.
Sure.
Comes off IR, first game in,
Pop.
up hamstring, and that happens. I feel like if you come back from a hamstring injury after like 4 weeks, you have a 50-50 chance
Just
to
re-aggravate.
re-aggravate.
Yeah.
It's that high, almost 60-40. I feel like I feel like it happens so much, or like. We've talked about
I'm
this
sure
a couple
there's
years
stats
ago.
on. I'm sure there's stats on there. Somebody's screaming.
They're
at about
never
us.
right. It's almost like that. You need a year after ACL
Mhm.
to like be right. Same thing with the hamstring. Like you need a whole season to get right. They're that tricky.
They really are. All right. Speaking of another tricky injury, Kyren Williams ankle injury. MRI revealed a sprained ankle. It didn't really say whether it was high or low, so I'm not sure.
It's got to be high. They're signing people left and right.
Yeah, they really are. So obviously the backup Ronnie Rivers also left the game here with a grade 3 PCL injury. So he's going to be out weeks and weeks and weeks. Maybe even IR stint there for him. Zach Evans is really the only guy on the roster right now that's healthy. And
No, they just signed. Check your waiver wire. He's on a waiver wire in multiple leagues. I am.
Royce
They signed.
Freeman.
Miles Gaskin.
they got Gaskin. And,
They took him off the. Signed him off of who's
Minnesota's
practice squad.
practice squad there, and then Royce Freeman. I think they elevated from their own practice squad.
They elevated Royce Freeman, signed Miles Gaskin, and Zach Evans right now will be the starting running back.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, and I mean, Zach Evans, guy that I think in short bursts showed things in college.
Yeah.
I just never saw it consistently enough for him to really, for me to hang my hat on a guy like Zach Evans.
No.
So we'll see, what he can do here in the NFL. See if they light a fire under his butt and he can do that down in, down out. If so, that he shows the good every play. He could be a talented back. So
I'm checking my waiver wire for Miles Gaskin. I'm in 30 dynasty leagues, and he was on a waiver wire in 5 of them.
Yeah, I saw you actually swoop him up.
So
a couple that I was in.
Yeah, that's the guy I would pick up personally. I feel like out of all those running backs, I feel most comfortable with from a fantasy football perspective. That can fit in that offense, definitely with his pass catching ability would be him. So check your waiver wire.
Yep, absolutely. Another scary one, Damien Harris, neck injury, had to go to the hospital. It sounds like he's out of the woods from the neck perspective. It sounds like that's a neck sprain. He's also in the concussion protocol, so I wouldn't expect to see him anytime soon there, next few weeks anyway. And it sounds like playoff Lenny was
weird because
working out there.
Jordan Schultz reported that he talked to Lenny. He's going to work out there. And then I don't know if it was Schefter or somebody else reported, hey, Leonard Fournette's not working out for anybody, even though there's reports out there like that. So it's really mixed reports.
Okay. So possibly there's some news.
It'd be a good fit because James Cook started the year off hot.
Yeah.
And now he's just
kind of leveled off. Well,
yeah,
dropped and leveled.
They can use James Cook should play like Alvin Kamara plays. They need
I don't think they ever know what to do with their running backs there.
They need a David Montgomery. Like they need to run it like how pretty much Detroit runs
but I mean, like they had Zach Moss there. He didn't do anything. He goes to the Colts. He looks amazing.
Dominates.
You know what I mean? Like
looks absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So I'm not sure that they really know how to effectively use any of their running
systems,
backs.
Man.
Yeah.
Coaching systems. It's
they got the passing game down.
It's the backbone of fantasy football that
Yeah.
nobody ever taught. Like so many people are so quick to go look at skill set or like what they could possibly do. It's like system is everything. Yeah. And we got so hyped about Jahmyr Gibbs because he's an exciting player, but it's like all they're talking about, they're talking about is David Montgomery.
And
like, oh yeah, and they're saying Gibbs is going to be our spell guy. Like, come on, said it. Like he's going to be our spell guy. You're like, damn, dude. Like,
why would you spend that pick on a spell guy?
I got to draft Puka over Gibbs. It wouldn't happen.
No.
The only thing I feel good about is pushing Quentin Johnson. Like, we're the one podcast that had Quentin Johnson at the very back end of the first, pretty much a second round pick, and that looks so far like
0 for 2. 0 for 2 on his targets this week.
Not good. After a bye week.
He just can't even get open.
I saw it on tape.
Yeah.
There's a lot of concerns on tape. We expressed them.
Yeah.
And then the Chargers tried to trick us and reel us back in with all those preseason and practice tapes of him get those one-handed balls. I'm like, maybe I should. God, the Chargers. I felt like, hey, if the Chargers are going to pump him up so much like this, and granted he was a first-round pick, like maybe I should bump him up a little bit too.
I want to know how much it would
put
cost
him right back down.
Us to produce cut-ups of ourselves looking amazing so we could
our takes
no catching footballs one-handed against nobody. I wonder how much next time we're wherever
With
Peter's
Peter?
at. We got to get him to cut up some little tapes of us, so that way when next off season comes around and there's fluff pieces out, we can just send those out to everyone.
Dude, you give me some of those NFL gloves, I'm catching everything.
Exactly.
Those things are sticky.
They are so sticky.
Yeah, I'm making one-hand catches left and right.
I know where we're going next time before the draft. We're going to Dick's. We're getting ourselves some sticky gloves, and then we're going to have some highlight reel tape.
Dude, Nerds needs write-offs.
It sure does.
Chris Brooks, he got hurt, ankle injuries. He's week to week. Deebo Samuel seems like he's going to be fine with his shoulder.
Yep.
Alec Pierce, he hurt his shoulder as well. Rumors are they're going to trade for Jerry Jeudy possibly?
Yeah, there's talks of Jerry Jeudy kind of being a trade target there. I mean, Alec Pierce hasn't done much this year, right? So it looks like they're maybe trying to get weapons for next year, right? I mean, they're not winning anything this year without Anthony Richardson. It seems silly for them to go out and shell out draft picks for Jerry Jeudy, but if
doesn't make any sense.
But if it's barely anything,
him and Pittman would be really good.
Right. I think they would complement it.
Yeah.
They would complement each other.
Sucks. Pierce was a second-round pick, and it just doesn't seem like it's really panning out.
Not all second-round picks are good second-round picks.
But sometimes it takes 3 years, like Tutu Atwell for like 4 games.
Yeah.
But then Cooper Kupp comes back and then pushes Tutu Atwell to the side.
Yes.
Hunter Henry, ankle injury, but came back in the game, so we'll see how that goes.
Weird season. I've been digging into those stats. He's separating. He's doing a lot of things. He's just not getting the ball.
Because the team sucks.
His quarterback sucks.
Big time.
Yeah.
So I'm in a super flex league. Tight end premium.
Yeah. Today,
so I put in the group chat, who wants Mac Jones? You can have him for a sandwich.
Yeah.
And I think I wrote something like, wow, you can get Mac Jones for a sandwich. And in my head, I'm going, wow, if he's offering that cheap, I should go trade for him. And I'm going,
why?
In my head, I was like, you know what? I'd rather have the sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the sandwich over Mac Jones. I don't want anything to do with Mac Jones.
Mac Jones is broken. They absolutely broke him.
And it sucks too because I feel like I never was a big Mac Jones guy, but what sucks is he's got nothing around him to even make it seem like he had a chance.
So I mean, I think we're
even Ramondre Stevenson's not.
I think we're starting to figure out. Bill Belichick's a hell of a defensive coach.
Yes,
he cannot figure out the offensive personnel. Tom Brady basically covered up all his shortcomings, right?
Yeah.
His shortcomings are on the offensive side of the ball. He's never been able to evaluate wide receivers. They've never been able to draft them ever since Bill Belichick was there. They knew what they wanted in running backs. A lot of times they'd pick them up in free agent. Remember, it was like Corey Dillon. They're always bringing in guys that are veterans.
Best receiver they brought in was Randy Moss. It was the best receiver they had.
Exactly.
Other guys were like Deion Branch.
That
Brady made.
They got very lucky drafting 2 tight ends that were amazing out of 1 draft.
Yep.
And then they had these little, like scat backs. They were able to find those guys. That's it. Yeah, and offensive linemen. They know offensive linemen. And that was because they had one of the best offensive line coaches for years. He's gone now.
Yeah.
It's all starting to crumble around him.
Yeah, it's interesting in New England. But you know what? You guys all had your glory. I have no pity.
No, I just think as a fantasy football community, I think we better start realizing that. I mean, I think everyone knows, but
the end is near there in New England for a complete reset.
It's going to be a reset thing.
And we mentioned Greg Dulcich. He injured his hamstring in week 1, 4 weeks on IR, came back in, re-injured the hamstring. We'll see what's going on there. I almost had Greg Dulcich as my tight end buy for the rebuilds there. So I do like Dulcich long term. I just came up with a better name. That's all. So let's get into some of these guys we talked about. Where are we at on time-wise? Because that was a lot of injuries and side talk.
That was 38 minutes.
30 minutes. So we'll be quick on these buys. We have 1 each, quarterback and tight end. We did it on purpose, so we knew we had a lot of injuries to talk about. Before we get into those guys, I got to tell you, though, about our friends at Sleeper. I'm sure most of you know Sleeper, and I'm sure most of you use Sleeper as your hosting platform.
Sure.
And we have this great partnership with Sleeper because not only that is our app coming to the Mini, and I got to see today what it looks like and how you'll be able to push trades through the Dynasty GM app. So when
I've been drooling over that one, man.
So we've always had it in the back pocket to be able to do that with MFL. And we're being special. We're being treated very special by Sleeper. We're the only people that gave access to do that. So if you go in the trade calculator and say, do you want to send this trade? So through the Dynasty GM, through Sleeper, you'll be able to actually send trades through our app, through Sleeper.
That's sweet.
One step closer to be able to set your lineup and do everything through the Dynasty GM app. So right now, Sleeper, they launch, besides the Mini, something new. So hopefully our Mini, we're on the Mini hopefully next week. I've said that now for 5 weeks straight. But now that I saw that video of the trade tool,
Sure.
it has to be close.
It's got to be close.
Our developer said all he was just trying to finish was he's like to push the trades through. He's like, well, it doesn't make sense for us to put it out if we have this ability. We might as well do it.
Might as well get it functional, fully functional.
But on top of that, what Sleeper's doing is they're offering DFS. That's right. They're offering DFS, and right now they're offering up to 100 times your entry you can win, the highest payout in all the DFS markets right now. So for you to listen, a lot of people out there are playing DFS, and I get it. There's so many different options, and when you're already playing on one site, why go to another? Well, because they offer you bonus deposits. And Sleeper, you're already on their app doing your lineups. Why not get on there and do some DFS stuff right now? And if you use a promo code NERDS, they're going to match your deposit up to $100. And they're right now operational in 25 states, so you can get in there, set your lineups, play the game, and play some DFS on there all at the same time. Go to Sleeper, get their DFS, sign up, put the promo code NERDS in. They're going to match your deposit, and you're going to have a good time.
Excellent, man.
All right. Now, since Garrett's here, I got to tell you about our friends.
FFPC,
at
of course.
FFPC, they launched in 2010, FFPC. If you want to play high-stakes Dynasty, right, FFPC is a place to go. You go to myffpc.com, and you same thing, promo code NERDS. It's always NERDS. And they're going to give you a $25 off any league you want to join. Use that promo code for new members. You're going to get $25 off a $35 or up to $200 entry league. And what's great about FFPC that we always hammer home here is if you want to join a new Dynasty League and you don't have anybody to join, FFPC is my FFPC is the place to go. They've never had a Dynasty League fold in the history of its existence. So for 13 years, they've never had a league fold. And it's your chance to, when you play Dynasty for a while, you get better at the game, you're naturally going to want to start playing higher stake leagues. I've done it. I no longer want to play in, if you have a $50 league, I'm not even interested in it. I feel like it's not worth my time. I know it sounds stupid.
No. On top of that, though, as well, you get to know your teammates, but your teammates also get to know you in your regular leagues. This is your opportunity to go out into a kind of a pool of people that don't know you. They don't know what you're good at. They don't know your little tricks of your trade and all that kind of stuff. Go out and use everything you've learned in your home leagues and go kind of out into the wild.
Yeah, I need to do that because all my leagues are Nerd Herd leagues, so everybody just listens to me talk for 2 hours every week, and they know all the players I like, all the trades I want to make, and it makes it so much harder for me. And people ask me all the time, like, how is it doing a Dynasty podcast that a lot of people listen to, and then being in a league with people? I'm like, yeah, it's difficult. Yeah, because people everybody always knows what I'm thinking. Like, there's no they know I like that player.
Sure.
And everybody knows when I send trades on Tuesday nights, like, oh, he talked about that player on the podcast. It's always that way. But not at myffpc.com. And if you want to play high stakes, this is the way to go do it. They have up to leagues you get in there for up to $2,000. So use that promo code NERDS. Support them. It's a great site. It's one of my favorite hosting sites out there. Also compatible with the Dynasty GM.
Of course.
All right, Matt, let's get into some of our rebuild buys here. We have to be a little bit quicker. We got about 20 minutes here to talk about these guys. We'll jump into the Nerd Show. We have 2 wide receivers and 2 running backs each on that show, correct?
Yes, we sure do.
Right. So I mentioned earlier, Matt, about Will Levis as my rebuild buy here.
Levi's is what I would prefer you 100%. Said, but go ahead.
So I think it's a real good buy window for Will Levis right now. I think you probably go out there and get him for probably 2/3. In the Dynasty GM Trade Finder, I saw that he went for Desmond Ridder straight up. He went for a 24 third. He went for a 24 second. He went for Trey Lance and like something unidentified as well for him. I think for a second or 2/3 right now this week is a good time to go out there and offer that. We just saw Malik Willis come in and he finished the game when Ryan Tannehill went out.
Yep.
And he was named the number 2. But you got to look back. Remember at the end of training camp, Will Levis had a hamstring injury. Like it was a significant hamstring injury. And Malik Willis came in, and Malik Willis, I mean, outside of that screen, he had a Tajay Spears that went for 48 yards. He looked exactly how I thought Malik Willis always looked.
Struggles passing ball.
Turd is Fergus.
Yeah,
absolutely. He's a turd Fergus.
Yep.
No offense to you personally, Malik. It's just Dynasty related wise, I want nothing to do with you. You go to the bar, have a beer, I'm all down for it. But Dynasty, fantasy football, don't come anywhere near me.
Listen, obviously, Malik has the rushing upside that everyone wants, right? In a quarterback here for fantasy purposes. He just offers nothing in the passing game. So I don't see how Tennessee could really march him out there and kind of have him have him be the quarterback that replaces Ryan Tannehill. He just doesn't do enough of what they want to do. I mean, they want to be able to run the ball, do some play action stuff, and he's got to be able to hit open receivers. And Malik Willis he's just not there.
So Tennessee's in a weird spot right now. They're not winning football games.
Right.
They're right in the middle of the road. They have a bye week this week, and looks like Ryan Tannehill has a high ankle sprain. He's already had surgery on, so I don't expect him to be back in 2 weeks. I really don't. I expect him to be out for multiple weeks. And I think now that they have this much time to get Will Levis ready, this is the time to use him.
Yeah.
They have to.
Right. They're 2-4. They're last in the division.
Yeah.
They're like, what are you playing for really at this point?
You need to see what you have. Like
Right.
I would not be surprised whatsoever if they trade away Derrick Henry. And as much as I talk crap on Derrick Henry, like I feel like a really good trade partner for them would be the Cleveland Browns. Like I really think Derrick Henry would fit in this offense really well to make a push for last year's contract. You probably get him for super cheap, like a 6th round pick. I think Derrick Henry would be a great fit for the Browns. He'd be a great fit for the Bills as well. And for me, I mean, Will Levis, they took him in the 33rd pick in the second round. Somebody who had a lot of first round potential, but some people thought like Will, hey man, like this is a guy who had more of like that strong workout kind of build. And some people thought like he was a little bit more into himself than he was playing football, but it still took him in the second round, very high. This is not like just a gamble pick. This is an investment pick, and they need to see what they have in Will. And this seems to me like the perfect opportunity to put him out there. So for a couple thirds, even a second, like if I'm a contender and you never have an opportunity to get a quarterback usually, and Will probably win the second round of most Superflex leagues right there anyways. If they drop you for a late second, I'm willing to take a chance on him just for him to come in and see what he has here in Tennessee.
Do you think you'd be able to get him in a Superflex right now, knowing that obviously the Tannehill news is breaking and they're finally going to get a chance to see him?
I think that with the fact that Malik Willis is listed as number 2 right now and he came in, I do think there's a chance.
Okay. That little bit of unknown might be enough, I think, to maybe get that done.
But you have 2 weeks to do it, or until the news breaks that, hey, they're going to start Will Levis. And then that price tag, it's unattainable. So I feel like this rebuild buy is like now.
Sure.
Like now's the time you do it. And the most I'm paying is a late second because I have no problem wasting a late second on a quarterback that has some upside, that has a draft capital to back him up. I mean, this is Drew Brees draft capital.
Right. No, absolutely. And I guess similarly, if you want to switch over to mine here.
Piggyback?
Yeah, let's piggyback this one. I mean, Aidan O'Connell right now is my guy, and both these guys are getting almost identical sort of opportunities, right? I mean, both the guys ahead of them went down there. The difference, I think, between the Raiders and Tennessee, the Raiders are still in it. They're 3-3. So this is kind of a weird one. It's not a slam dunk that Aidan O'Connell, they haven't come out and announced that yet, whether it's going to be him starting, Brian Hoyer. Brian Hoyer obviously finished this past game, but I mean, Aidan O'Connell was just the emergency guy, right?
Yeah.
So he wasn't even active, and he couldn't play unless Hoyer went down. So, they're coming up on next week. We'll see. This could kind of, in my opinion, this could go one of two ways. They could just say, hey, let's see what we have in Aidan O'Connell right now. Let's get him ready. We have this week to do it. And as long as Jimmy G's out, we're going to stick with the young kid. Or they could go the Hoyer route, and we've seen Hoyer, I feel like, long enough. He's an aged veteran that is okay, but he's not going to win you any games. So if they went the Brian Hoyer route, they might end up just losing themselves out of this race, and we might end up getting like an extended look at Aidan O'Connell then towards the end of this season. Mm-hmm. So either way, I think Aidan O'Connell is going to get a shot this year, whether it be right now for a short window and kind of see what we have in him, or towards the end of the season when inevitably, the Raiders kind of fall off the map and are out of playoff contention. So that's what makes him, in my opinion, right now a great guy to go out and grab in any sort of Superflex format. Obviously, one QB league, he's just going to be sitting around on people's waiver wire. This was a 4th round draft pick. He probably didn't get drafted. If he did, it was very late. So I'm not as interested in the 1 QB leagues, but if it's a 2 QB league or a Superflex league, Aidan O'Connell right now is worth it. And I was just trying to pull up my my Nerds calculator or the calculator here to see exactly what he's going for on here, because that was the one part I forgot to do.
It can't be much.
No, I couldn't imagine.
I mean, you're probably talking 3rd round pick right now as of this week.
So Superflex,
maybe 2/3.
It's I see a him and Fant for Higbee in a fourth. So, I mean, it's
so just a third.
Yeah, basically just a third because you're swapping a couple of tight ends and then a little bit on top. So right around a third, there's one that's Aidan O'Connell in a fifth for a 25 second.
Oh yeah, forget that. Or a second. But but no, I
mean, him for a fourth. So
swinging.
it's very And
in Superflex, anytime you have a chance to swing at a quarterback that has any kind of notion or rumor that it could potentially be the starter, like why wouldn't you swing that bat? Right?
And he started one game this year. It wasn't a big time output game, right? It was about 12 points or something like that. So it wasn't crazy. But in the preseason, he looked really efficient, right? Yeah. He looked good and
good arm, non-mobile whatsoever.
He's not going to offer you anything. This is going to be a totally a pocket passer type of guy. And, he's got a shot with a couple of these guys on the Jacoby Myers, a relatively young guy. Obviously Michael Mayer, his snaps have increased and his routes have increased, and he's actually looked good. He's actually looked good. He's looked better than I thought he would.
Yeah. More athletic than I thought he would look.
Correct. And that's what I meant by better. He looks more athletic. So I'm glad you said that. And obviously Devontae Adams will make a lot of people that aren't necessarily fantastic look a lot better.
I see my husband step up and get better. That's all, because now Mayer's starting to look good. Laporta's been lights out day one, and what I said before the year, it's like this tight end class will change the landscape.
Yeah.
So it's exciting. Speaking of tight ends, my rebuild buy at tight end is Trey McBride of the Arizona Cardinals. And, it's coming off a really big week for him where the routes or the snap count even changed a lot for him, Zach Ertz. And Zach Ertz started a year off, end of the year last year, looked really good as a high-end tight end. But after this past week, when it came to actual snaps, Trey McBride out-snapped Zach Ertz. He had 44 snaps compared to Zach Ertz 35. When it came to running routes, Ertz ran 24 and McBride only 22. But McBride had his best game. He caught 4 of his 5 targets for 62 yards in the game. And this is somebody who they took in the second round as well. And Kyler Murray is right around the corner. He's supposed to start practicing tomorrow. And he's going to come back into this team, a team that does not have a lot of weapons on their roster, to say the least.
I'm still wondering what the motivation is, but I guess they want to try to win some games. We'll see. They're an abysmal team.
They're pretty bad.
Their record is abysmal. They've actually fought pretty good here in the weeks. They haven't looked horrible at
times. That's probably it. I mean,
yeah.
You have a first-year head coach. Right. He's got to win.
Yeah.
You're paying this guy a boatload of money. And you feel like, hey, if we had Kyler, we could probably win some of these games.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Josh Dobbs, but Josh Dobbs is what Josh Dobbs is. He's a very good backup quarterback to have. He's the kind of guy you throw in there for a couple games, and you might go 500 with him. But Kyler Murray's a difference maker. And with Trey McBride, in here with not a lot of weapons, Michael Wilson's looked really good. He's an up-and-coming receiver. I didn't want to put a lot of rookies on my rebuild buys because they're harder to buy. So I didn't put Michael Wilson on there. But he's somebody else I thought of in this process. But when you're looking at long-term, I mean, Marquise Brown, he might get traded. Who knows? We don't know what his long-term viability is here. Before, I thought he was guaranteed because they have a first-round pick for him. But with new management now in there, nothing's guaranteed at this point. So
I feel like more and more first-round draft picks are just floating around. They're just getting moved. There's been a lot more trades.
A lot more trades. Definitely the deadline.
Yeah.
And McBride, didn't McBride win the Mackey Award?
That sounds right.
Okay.
I think he did.
So when he comes in here, I mean, this week he's going to play the Seahawks defense. Defense right now, I mean, this is somebody, when it comes to stopping a tight end, they are in the bottom of the league. Like, they're like the fourth. They give it the fourth most yards per catch, 8.8 in so far this year to tight end. So McBride can take another step forward this year, this week.
Yeah.
If I'm in a tight end premium league, I have no problem offering a second-round pick if I'm a contender for McBride.
Yeah.
For some depth there, for a tight end that might step up here. I'm a tight end hoarder.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I want to get as many as I can. And if it's a late second and I need some tight end help, this is a really good investment for a guy who they take in the second round. Because if he steps up, it wouldn't surprise me if he ends up, like, after next year, getting one of those, like, Cole Kmet contracts, right? Like, oh, he's good enough. Here's $13 million a year.
Sure.
He looked good last week, and I expected to get better. Now that they're actually going to give him more snaps over Zach Ertz, it looks like Zach Ertz will either get traded possibly for nothing to a team that can use him, or just outright lose his job to Trey.
He's a good player. He just has been kind of buried since he got there. So it is nice to see him kind of emerging. And you can never have too many tight ends.
Never.
I mean,
even a non-tight end premium.
Exactly.
I always on my roster, I'm like, I could use more tight ends.
I never feel like I have enough.
I really don't.
And it's probably a sickness of mine.
And some of my teams have so many tight ends, but they're guys like they're just sitting there like like guys.
I still have like Irv Smith,
Yeah,
like all those kind of guys. Like, oh god, hasn't done anything.
and you don't want to cut him.
No,
the guys like, I can't cut him.
Yeah, what if he starts performing? Or what if I just need him for 1 week to perform? Because that's what the tight end landscape is. It's so ridiculous.
Oh, you're playing the Seahawks? Yeah, I get you in there.
Yep, exactly. It's stupid. Unless you have one of those top 3 guys, then you're scrambling every single week.
Wish I had more Sam Laporta. Should have married him.
I know. Totally married the wrong guy.
Story of my life, babe.
All right. Speaking of tight ends,
last guy,
my guy's Cade Otton.
Yeah.
Really, I loved what I showed last year. He hasn't really had super high end production or anything like that. He's tight end 28 on the year. There's just a lot of balls getting funneled to 2 players, right? On his team, it is Chris Godwin. It is Mike Evans. He's tied right now for 3rd on the team with targets with 17 with Rachaad White. So there's just not a lot going other places
for now.
Exactly my whole point. So that's kind of why I brought it up. The whole thing is the top dog right now is Mike Evans. He's got the most receptions, the most targets, most everything, and all that stuff's going his way. And what is he? He's a 6'5" big kind of target, and he's 30 years old. He's in the last year of his deal.
He's already written his goodbye letter saying, I am gonna go explore the free agent market.
And he's a free agent at the end of the year. So I mean, do I think that all of his targets are going to go straight from Mike Evans to Cade Otton? Yes, of course. No, obviously not. But he is going to be the guy that's 6'5", 6'6". He's going to be the most easily and most natural guy to kind of fill some of the roles and some of those spots that are vacated when Mike Evans leaves. So we all know it. A tight end like Cade Otton, he's athletic enough. He's not super athletic. It's going to be targets. It's always going to come down to targets. Exactly. Tight ends, target is king. If you get the targets, you're going to end up being a king. So Cade Otton, he's going to see an obvious boost in that stuff between this year and next year. So this isn't like a you need to do it right now type of move, because I think he's going to stay pretty static right around where he's at now. He's going to be in the 20s somewhere as far as where these tight ends, where he finishes for the year. But come next year is when you're going to see the bump. So I think he'll be going into his 3rd year, and he's going to get a natural bump in targets. He's just a nice long-term type of tight end that you can just get thrown in on deals.
And the natural breakout year for tight ends is 3rd year. And exactly. Same reason, like I was shitting on Quentin Johnston earlier. It's like, dude, he's still a rookie, and some rookies take 2 to 3. Like, and Johnston was always like a developmental player in the first place. Like when we were scouting watching his tape, we're like, hey, this guy's got a lot of stuff he has to work on.
Yeah, catching the ball with it away from his body and just separating.
And what we see this weekend, he couldn't separate.
Yep,
unbelievable. So like, K9 going to that natural 3rd year again. Somebody long shot to be really fantasy relevant, but his price is so cheap. Like, why not put him on the bottom of your roster? Like. And these are the players like you want on the bottom of your roster, right? Like, hey, we talk about like, oh, I can't cut this guy. Like, if he doesn't hit early next year, you have no problem cutting Cade Otton. You know what I mean? Like, there's no problem whatsoever. Same thing, like, okay, Adam Troutman's going to Denver. They brought him there. Like, oh, let's see what he got. Oh, okay. Turns out, not much. I have no problem getting now rid of Adam Troutman after he came out. Was it Dayton? Is he a Flyer?
Yes.
He's a Dayton Flyer, right?
Yes, I believe so.
The whole time he was out there, and was it New Orleans?
Yes.
Yeah, New Orleans. And you're like, hey, now he's going here. Let's see what he have. Nothing. I can cut him.
Yep.
So before last year, I wouldn't have cut him. Now I have no problem cutting him. So that's it. Appreciate everybody listening. We'll be back next week with Garrett. He'll be way more tan. Talk about week 8. Hopefully we don't lose any more players out for the year, but we will.
Well, we will for sure.
We will.
It's going to happen.
Hope it's not my guys.
Yeah.
I've been, for the most part, besides losing Nick Chubb and like J.K. Dobbins, I've been able to stay pretty healthy in a lot of my leagues.
Yeah, knock on wood, dude. That's right when the bottom falls out.
I'm going to lose all my guys this week. Not a problem whatsoever. I don't feel bad about it. Appreciate everybody left us.
That left us.
Let me swallow my saliva.
There you go.
Which I habitually do not do. We always appreciate the support. Leave us a rating and review on the podcast if you could.
Adios.